Welcome back to Online Darts, everyone. Here we are at the Target Sports Star Fishing, and we've got the main man, the boss, Mr. Hearn. Barry, how's it going?
Well, defending champions, different level of responsibility, isn't it now? Last year was, a big win, but as anyone will tell you in sport, retaining is so much harder than winning. So, big challenging day. Looking forward to it.
Busy time in darts as well. First of all, going to go to one place, New York. It finally happened, Madison Square Garden. What an event, and for the first time ever, has Steel Tip Darts made a splash in America.
Yeah, and for the first time ever, it was predominantly American fans, and they're not just travelling Brits, you know. So it was a big breakthrough moment, but there's a long way to go. I think we all feel that, you know, that's the ultimate market to crack. If we can get the European flavour of darts into America, especially in the collegiate system and upwards, then we're in good hands. Look, it's an exciting time for darts anyway, all over the world. It's a sport with no barriers to entry, so it's up to us if we don't mess it up, providing we're happy to invest significant sums of money. I think we've got a great opportunity to make darts even bigger than it is now, which is unthinkable really, but you know, we're in a good place.
Last time we spoke, you talked about the global dominance that you wanted. Where's the next market that you're looking at?
I think Southeast Asia is really important to us. You know, I mean, they're doing some stuff there now. The China Premier League's going well. It's a massive area. It's a massive job. We're up against football and cricket in some regions and various other sports. But I think we've always asked the question, why not? Not why. You know, and the answer is, it's just about effort. We've got a lot of people out there rooting for us. There's an awful lot of people that can play darts that I think are being inspired by other people appearing on TV. We've seen it all over the world. Southeast Asia, there's an awful lot of people out there, so let's give it a go. But we're not going to just restrict ourselves just to one territory, you know. I'm looking at places in closer to home that suddenly look really, you know, obviously Belgium's come through on the back of Dimitri and things like that, but Poland is suddenly looking like a big market. Hungary's looking like a big market. So, you know, I mean, the world's in a not a good place, is it? But darts is in a bloody good place, so we're going to enjoy the darts.
Touching on what you said there, could we see perhaps some of the traditional PDC majors leaving the UK for these shores?
I think eventually,
to strengthen it?
yeah, I think eventually that has to happen, you know, because if you take things like World Series is there with a specific role, but what comes after World Series? You know, World Series breaks down doors, spreads the gospel of darts, involves local players, gives field experience, and gives fans that live experience. But after a while, I think the plan's got to be that World Series will eventually be replaced by ranking tournaments, and that's going to put a whole new shift on players, because players pay their own expenses, so the prize money's got to be adjusted. You know, do we do qualifying rounds in the UK like we do in snooker and just take a limited field abroad? Lots of things over the next 2 or 3 years that will evolve. We'll see.
You touching on the involvement of darts, when you first took it over, did you ever imagine that we'd be where we are now? Obviously, I know you're always sky's the limit, but this must surprise you.
I'd love to be that smart. I never saw it, and I don't think we've even started.
That's a good sign for all the players. Well, Matchplay has just finished as well. Fabulous tournament.
Fabulous.
Michael van Gerwen wins back-to-back TV tournaments for the first time since 2019.
Yeah.
The man has come back with a bang.
Yeah, he's a great player. I think he's, you know, you've got to understand that darts has changed so much. The level of competition now is intense. It's unbelievable. I mean, kids that perhaps the general public haven't even heard of are throwing 100+ averages. It's in a really good place. I mean, we really can't mess this up now, you know. So we need to keep growing the game. We need to keep seeing stars like Michael van Gerwen, Gerwin Price, people like that, because they inspire, you know. It's not rocket science to say that, you know, Michael van Gerwen and Raymond van Barneveld have made darts in Holland, and darts in Holland is a major source of income for the PDC, which goes into prize funds, etc. Germany the same, you know, and other countries where suddenly D'Souza, you know, Portugal, Spain, Italy, suddenly France is looking like, where did these places come from?
Yeah.
Were they out there all the time and we didn't? I don't know. But what I do know is we've got an opportunity and we're not going to take our eye off the ball. We're not going to take anything for granted and we're not going to get complacent. We're going to invest enough money to do the job properly, and thank goodness we've got the players on board. They share the dream and they are making the effort as well. Without them we would be nothing.
The first women's match play as well, a huge success, but early indications it seemed to be great on social. Obviously you know the logistics better than me. Is this a bit of a change in darts, because you were always adamant that they play as one, but it seems to diversify a little bit, that we are seeing
they are playing in one when it comes to qualifying for the majors. I mean, we'll be governed, as we always are, by the financials and by the viewing figures, the ratings, the ticket sales. The match play ticked some boxes. Ticked it quite strongly in some cases. But now it's up to the women. So now we say, well, we start off, now you show us what you can do. How many entries, how many women are going to play in the women's series next year? It needs to be significantly up to justify the investment. Simple as that. It's evaluated, nothing to do with women, nothing to do with men. It's on a case by case, on a meritocracy basis.
Does it help them in that they have got a flagship, like Fallon is there as the poster girl and doing so well, competing with the men as well?
Yeah, it does, but you can't run an industry on one person, or two people, or three people. I need to see the same demand for places on the women's series as there is for demand for Q-score applicants and things like that, And then when we do that, I always just think, you don't do favours. You don't do, because favours don't last. Favours have to be repaid. So you don't do favours. It's a meritocracy based on what everyone's putting in. And that's how they'll be governed. I don't give a monkey if they're black, white, fat, thin, Christian, Muslim. I wonder, can they play? That's the only thing we ask. We are the total diverse. We're there for everybody, but you've got to be able to play.
Right, fair comment. Moving on, a lot of talk around the World Cup as well, just on. Are we going to see the World Cup maybe change format coming up? Because there's a lot of criticism around the singles once round one's out the way, that it gets a little bit samey and it's the same stars. Are we going to see a potential change?
I think there's going to be a few changes in the World Cup because it's gone down quite well globally. I think we need more teams in it. I think we need more countries. I think we've got to expect in the early days some of those first round matches might be a bit one-sided, but they were in the World Championships as well once, and everyone criticised that. We're long-term players, So it's not a short-term fix. Formats, I actually prefer myself. I think it should be doubles throughout. I think singles is not, but we'll sit down. There's a committee of people that look at it, ask everyone their opinions. No rush. We'll get it right.
One thing that comes up a lot in darts when we're asked about new tournaments and things is a version of Ryder Cup / Mosconi Cup in darts. Is that something that's on the PDC's horizon or not?
No. I mean, at the moment, it's a question of the majors. The calendar's pretty well full. Pro Tours, 30 of them, done. Increased prize money, bigger tournaments in Europe, 13 of them, done. There's only 52 weeks in a year, and the top players are under pressure because they help us by being in tournaments. They give it more exposure, but they're only human, so they can't necessarily work 24 hours a day. So it's one step at a time. Everyone's always going to have ideas of other tournaments, but it's not broken, so we don't fix it. And it's most important that you don't flood a market, because supply and demand still works in the darts industry as well as everyone else. If you supply too much, the price goes down.
Which isn't a good thing.
It's not the way I like to do things. I like to supply enough to justify a proper circuit, but justifying increased prices in terms of rights fees for broadcasters and streaming companies around the world. Otherwise, we're just going to sit there and not make any progress. We're going to be selfish. We've got something very special. People want us, and they're going to have to pay for the pleasure.
We know that you're a workaholic, or worse. Back in the day, retired a little bit now, taking the back seat. Certain players have criticised the schedule. It's been too much in a short space of time. Where do you stand on that, or do they just need to
take a rest and don't play? See you later. Plenty of other people waiting for your, for the opportunity. Plenty of people waiting for top up from Q-score, etc., etc. So yeah, I think different people have got different approaches to life. Some people lead a life where they can physically and mentally play every day. Others can't. Well, you've got to do what's best for you. there's no pressure from us. We don't force anyone's playing anything. The choice is always with the individual, as it should be.
Premier League done and dusted now. New format for the first time.
Yeah, it worked.
Have you had time to digest the figures and the analytics of it all?
I think so, yeah. And I think I don't think there's any doubt it's going to stay next year, and we'll carry on monitoring it. It was a big success this year, and the feedback from local people was, we had our champion, which is what we wanted to do. It is strange when you've got the same people in a tournament running for 16, 17 weeks, but the numbers held up. So the demand is still there. Ticket sales were up even on last year, something like 97.5% of total tickets sold, which is amazing. Again, there's always people that want to change everything every 5 minutes, but you need the consistency of the customer knowing what he's going to get, what level of experience he's going to have, and what level of entertainment he's going to have. I think we're not far off getting it just right.
World Championship tickets go on sale soon as well.
For shortly, for a second or two,
we know they'll fly out. In terms of the Worlds, are we set at 96, or is there an expansion on the horizon?
We're always looking at expansion on the horizon, and whether it's next year or the year after, it's got to come, because I've got more and more demand. And the worst thing you can do with demand is turn down people's opportunity. So when you suddenly get a country say, we'd like some representation, our job is to give it to them, because otherwise you're cutting your nose off to spite your face, and that will inevitably involve one day, and I think one day quite soon, a bigger World Championships, and even longer World Championships.
Longer, the whole month of December?
Could be the whole year. Just make one big tournament.
With that and Ali Pali, you've often spoke about moving it to the Grand Hall as well, because of ticket sales and like you say, surpassed demand. Is that close?
No, I think that the Grand Hall is technically very difficult to do it there. There's lots of things wrong with the Grand Hall, including leaky roofs and goodness knows what else. And I think again, there's something about, although we do Premier League with 10,000, 12,000 fans, there's something about that special type of atmosphere in a confined space with just 3,000 or 3,500, And bear in mind you're doing 17 days and maybe 40 odd sessions. It's probably about, as it is at the moment, it's probably about right.
Grand Slam of darts, much talk this year when everything was announced a few weeks ago. Do you think we're done of the days of other organisations playing in the Grand Slam?
No, I don't necessarily think so. I think we should just continue to evaluate where they are. I mean, the WWF have come in and they seem to be making a good fist of it to start with, which is good. And I wouldn't close the door on anybody. I just think that our job is to make sure that we're putting across the right message, giving the right opportunity, and rewarding the right people. The Grand Slam is a one-off event. Very good event. It's one of the majors. Again, it's something that you look at every year and say, there's some criticism this year of leaving out WDF champion. I think that's a good criticism as well. I think we should look at it. And as it evaluates and it takes more, it's more concrete, because it's very new at the moment. Let's see how it goes. And then the PDC hopefully will do what it always does, which is the right thing by everybody.
The World Seniors as well has taken off or started this year, the same as in snooker.
Yeah.
Do you think long term, if they can prove it's sustainable, that the two can work together like they do in the snooker?
Yeah, it's possible. Snooker owns the World Seniors control, which is right, and that's more of a governing body thing rather than an operating thing.
Yeah.
Seniors it's not golf, put it that way. We'll have to wait and see. The seniors will go one way. It'll either get very good or it'll just disappear. But there's so many good players that will eventually retire from what is a very busy circuit where you've got to commit, and they may make the seniors tour even better. So we always watch it, and then we're ready to move whenever, If we decide we want to do our own seniors or what, we'll make that move. But at the moment, we've got our hands full with a fabulous expanding sport, and I don't want to take my eyes off the ball.
Before we let you go, Barry, you always drop us a little nugget. Anything you can divulge for us? There's always something in the locker for us.
There's always something out there, isn't there? But I don't know. It's there's an awful lot of potential out there at the moment, but I think we need to see more diversity. We need to see more kids. I think the Junior Darts Corporation is doing a fantastic job. The kids that are coming through that, we're going to see the benefit of. So, no, I'm going to keep everything else quiet with you for the moment. But one thing I do know is you'll be everywhere anyway. So.
Barry, thank you very much as always.
Always a pleasure. Cheers, mate. Cheers.